Okay, when it comes to mounting the front spoiler, rear diffuser, and then the side skirts, it'll come with these black screws usually, depending on who you're getting it from. Ikon comes with the screws, and sometimes they'll come with a little bit of this red tape that kind of helps mount it temporarily till you can get the screws in. But I recommend that you go ahead and buy these self-tapping screws. I think I got them at either Ace or one of those supplies. And you'll see it has a tapping end that makes it way easier to get these started into the plastic. The kit pieces themselves come with a little hole, but still you got to get through the plastic of your car body underneath. So if we look underneath here, we can see the two screws that we have used to hold this kit on. And you can kind of see falling along, there's another screw, another screw, another screw. And if you're doing this yourself, you're going to have to use some blues painter's tape to hold up the pieces as you're screwing them in. And so basically you'll use the tape, mount it around here, run it underneath it, and put several pieces all the way across the bottom. And I will put a link for where I learned it from. That way you can kind of see how he did it. But that's how you hold it up. It doesn't work perfectly, but at least hold it up enough so you can get some screws started and then go from there. Okay, to take off your old spoiler, you're basically gonna pop these out. And then there's one up here, and there should be another one here. And this whole, and then there's one here and one here. And this whole piece should pop down, and then you'll have access to, I think it's the 6 holes that go through here and 6 bolts to be able to take off the old spoiler. Just go ahead and pop off these bolts. I think they're 10s. I'll put a video in the link of how I learned how to do it. And once you do those, you're gonna need some fishing line, because if you look underneath, there's some tape, mainly on the edges. And you'll use the fishing line to run underneath this corner to kind of get it to separate. And the same thing to run it against this corner to get it to separate. That way you can lift this up off of your trunk. And to get the glue off, you're gonna need some adhesive remover. Be careful because this will damage your paint. So you wanna just use it sparingly, and just make sure you wipe it off as soon as you put it on, just so it doesn't start eating through the finish. It'll come with some tape, just throw it away. Go get you some Gorilla tape. I think it was 1/2" Gorilla. Because I tried even the 3M automotive, that's about this same size and same color. That only lasted 3 days and it fell off my car. Yeah, I used the Gorilla tape. It's rated, I think like 100 pounds or something like that. And you just really wanna make sure you go all the way around that. Before you put on your tape, you're gonna use the alcohol, both on your new spoiler and also on where you're gonna mount it on the car. I also have a water bottle here because I like cleaning everything up with water, getting all the dust off of there. But these are kind of like the items you're gonna need to do the rear spoiler. And just remember, when you're doing a new spoiler, you're trying to line up the center of you'll put a mark to mark the center and try to mark it with the Kia emblem. And then the holes that are underneath this, you're gonna take some Gorilla glue, Gorilla tape, sorry. The wide, I think it's about 1 inch or 1.5 inches, and you're gonna cut squares and let that seal all the way around each of the holes, and that'll keep the water out. And make sure you have a good seal before you let that go. Okay, the way you do your blue pinstripe is you're gonna take your tape. I'm using Oracal, and I'll put link in the description. They have different colors. Hardest part is peeling off the edges. There you go. You can kind of see how you peel it. The main thing you want to remember is you want to make sure where you're applying it is clean. Like right now I already got one on there, but I'm going to pull that off later and replace it because it got scratched by a curb. But anyways, you're going to take the edge, make sure you start beyond the corner and then lock it down, not too far, but maybe about that much, and then give it a good pull. And as you're pulling, you're going to continue to unwind and unroll the Oracal. And then once you get it pulled all the way through, you'll come back and use your finger or use a squeegee if you have one, and you'll squeegee it down with a good pressure. I know there's plenty of videos on how to do the appropriate pressure for professional vinyl installation, but I just use my finger because I was just kind of testing this out without spending a bunch of time doing it. One thing I just wanted to point out is, for some reason, you can see these jagged edges on the Oracal. And basically, maybe I just got a bad batch. It started out nice and clean, but towards about halfway through the roll, it started getting jagged. So just watch out. The quality is not always consistent, but it's from a distance, no one can really tell. But when you get close up, you can see the jagged edge. But maybe, yeah, we'll just see what's happening. But that's pretty much it, how you install vinyl. One other thing to point out is when you're doing like these bends and things, you're gonna pull, and you may need to use your blow dryer or heat gun if you don't have if you don't want to use a blow dryer, and kind of just lightly heat that up, and you're gonna pull, and basically you're gonna lay down this top edge, and where it's underneath, I fix that later, but kind of laying down the top edge all the way around. That way later on you can heat it up a little bit with a heat gun and then push down the other side to get the edges to roll and to get these nice bends and curves. It doesn't always come out perfectly. As you can see down here, I do have a couple of wrinkles, so I'll have to redo that and do that with an actual heat gun. But again, it was just practice and just to kind of see how this worked and about how long it would take. So it does take about an hour or two, especially if you do a bunch of detail on the front end, to kind of get the effects that you want. And yeah, sketch it out in Photoshop, get some ideas, look on Instagram to see what everybody else is doing with their front ends, and you create your own design. Or combine a bunch of other people's ideas and make a design that no one else has done. So there's a bunch out there. That's it for now.